and talk about how we can protect our plants during the hottest portions of the year.
Right. So one thing to keep in mind to protect your plants from the heat is to mulch. And so mulch does a number of things. One, it keeps water moisture in the soil, but it
I
also
think of all the things that gardeners don't do, mulch is one of the biggest things, and they don't think that it really has that big of an impact.
and I think that's a good point. And also, most of our gardening is done, or our gardening is done in an organic way. And then if you go out to the woods and you take a little hike, you don't have to hike far into the woods. If you look down at the ground, it's covered with something, whether it be some sort of cover plant that's there taking over, or leaves, or whatever, branches,
A decaying trunk of a tree.
Trunk of a tree, yeah. And the forest continues to grow. So
Well, we got to thank the little gnomes.
the gnomes.
Yeah, they maintain the forest when we're not there.
Thank you, gnomes.
Yeah.
So if you think about that, you look down and you see that there's something that's magical happening with the gnomes, but also it's basically the ground cover.
Well, how much mulch should one apply around the base of, let's say, a tree or a tomato plant or a pepper plant, etc.?
Well, I mean, that's really, as far as a tomato plant or a pepper plant or a row of whatever, you want to do about 1 inch to 2 inches.
Right.
I would not do more than like 2 inches.
Now, if you're going to do wood chips around a tree, you want to go about 4 to 6 inches. Whatever you're putting mulch around, let's say it is that pepper plant or that tomato plant, you can put several inches around the plant, but you also want to move the mulch away from the collar of the plant, that stalk. Now, we do not recommend using wood chips in the vegetable garden on an annual basis, because wood chips, you can decay and begin to rob the soil of nutrient value, mainly nitrogen. We would recommend straw, chemical, seed-free grass clippings, leaves, shredded or unshredded. It really makes no difference. Shredded is going to break down much quicker. If you have very large leaves, such as oak leaves, you would want to shred them so they're not inhibiting water percolation through the soil. Keep that in mind. Mulching can greatly lower the soil temperature, at the root zone. It can have an effect of up to 5 to 7 degrees on a really hot day, and that is, very important to the success and the health and well-being of your plants. In addition to the mulch, we want to water. Keeping the soil moist can also help reduce that temperature at root zone.
Right, and that's a key. And I think one of the biggest things and best things that you can do for your garden, and I know it's an investment and it can be costly or somewhat costly up front, is to apply irrigation.
It will pay you back in the produce in which your plants, because it's amazing how much a plant can grow and produce when it has water, and you're not watering it once a week, and you're never watering it enough,
right,
that one time a week.
So that's the thing, is that it will grow and produce, but it will also fight off disease better because it's staying hydrated. I mean, just look at us. If we become dehydrated, a lot of times we're going to be tired, and I'm sure it weakens our immune system when we're not hydrated.
We're not doctors.
We're not doctors,
just
but
assumptions
it's
here.
just like, I think it just makes sense.
Common sense.
Common sense. Like, if you've ever been dehydrated, you usually feel like a little, just bleh.
You're not all there.
No,
you don't feel as focused.
Right, exactly. So same thing for our plants. We want to make sure that they are hydrated. That way they can focus with their day jobs.
Yes.
And so they need water. Plants need water. That's how it works. And something like cucumbers, those are like 98% water. Give them irrigation.
So whether you're using drip works or quick snap sprinklers, drip work irrigation, water hoop, or tree diaper products, these are all items that, transparency, they support the program and have supported the program for years. And because we believe in the product, that's why we continue to ask them to come back. We don't bring products on just because, that's a paycheck for us to pay for the airtime. We use the product, we believe in the product, and that's why we would recommend the product to you. Otherwise, we wouldn't use it and we wouldn't recommend it for you. So keeping the soil moist, damp, like a sponge. You don't want to oversaturate it because you can have problems like we have had not because we've irrigated, but because we've had substantial amount of water from rain. We've had curled up beans. We've had problems and blotchiness on our basil because of too much ambient natural rain. So you want to keep the soil damp, not over wet, not a bog, but you want to figure out what works best on your time frame, on your soil absorbent level, on how frequently you need to irrigate your garden.
Right. So next thing we can talk about here, and I feel like this is actually probably becoming more applicable as the world turns, as our climate continues to change. And I personally believe that climate change is a thing, and I mean it's pretty obvious when you have extreme winters and extreme summers and blah blah blah. But shade cloth is a good idea, especially if you're in an area of high sun and maybe you don't have shady areas and you want to grow vegetables and not have them bake in the sun like a baked potato.
Now, shade cloth is usually made of loosely woven polyester or even aluminum, and can be found in various densities and degrees of shade, approximately between 5% reduction of sunlight to up to 95%. And all shade cloth is water permeable, so the rain can go through, your sprinklers can go through, your irrigation, whatever the case is, to allow the plants to be hydrated. But what is occurring with the shade cloth is it's reducing the intensity of light. Now, a lot of garden centers will use this over their outdoor plants, but you can also utilize this item in your garden. They do make shade cloth light enough in which you can lay over plants. Garden fabric is another type of product in which you can use to reduce the amount of sunlight getting to your plants so they're not getting burned. So that's something to keep in mind, and it's based on where you're at and what you need for the plants in which you're growing, what kind of plants you're growing. Or Ivy Organics, they have a 3-in-1 plant guard whitewash that you can use on your shrubs, trees, and bushes on the stalk of it, the trunk of it, because if the sun is too intense, it can actually burn the cambiant layer under the bark, and trees can get 2nd and 3rd degree burns. So they have several different colors to choose from in which you can whitewash the trunk of the tree, shrub, or bush to protect it. And they also have a spray in which you can spray on the foliage of your vegetables, all organic, and it will help reduce the amount of potential burnage that the sun or the sunburn that the plant can potentially receive.
Right. And you can use, if you are in a high sun, direct sun area, using the white color would be ideal because it's going to help reflect or deflect that sunlight.
So that's some things to keep in mind there. IvyOrganics.com, dripworks.com, QuickSnapSprinklers.com, WaterHoop.com, TreeDiaper.com, all products that we use, we recommend. And the key here, and maybe your garden is already too far gone this year, these are things in which you can put on your little dry erase board in your garden nook to pay attention, to look forward to, or to look at, to make your garden better next year. And that's the goal. We all have failures, and if we can improve each year, then we're going in the right direction. So with that being said, one thing you can't go wrong with, and you can always go in the right direction with, it's Walton's Incorporated.
The Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show is brought to you by our sponsor, Walton's Inc. Listen, everyone, we know you care about where your food comes from, and you want to can and preserve your fruits and vegetables. But what about the meat? At waltonsinc.com, you can get all the equipment, seasoning, and supplies to make sausage, jerky, and any other meat product your way to your high standard. Do you want to make snack sticks that people will actually like? Walton's created meatgistics.com. It's an informational site to help you make the best finished product. They even have a full line of their own meat grinders, mixers, sausage stuffers to help you go from animal to edible. That's Walton's everything but the meat. Again, that's waltonsinc.com. And then meatgistics.com has a community of over 15,000 users to help you with your meat processing issues.
And even if you're not a processor of animals, they have a long line of spices and seasonings in which you can use for your everyday cooking needs. Hey there, gardeners. Thanks for checking out this segment of the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show. If you like what you've seen, you can search through the channel and find full in-studio videos of the entire show. If you want to go another route, you can search for it on your favorite podcast platform by searching the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener radio show or the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show, and you can download it and take it with you. You can check out all past seasons at our website, thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com, under the radio tabs at the top of the page. We thank you for joining us. We hope you've learned and enjoyed the show, the segment, and we'll see you next time.